This podcast is also available via stagelink.com, the groundbreaking new platform for live performing arts. I'm your host, Shenea Stiletto, and my guest on today's Circuspreneur podcast is Vice President of the World Acrobatic Society, Rich Kenney. Rich, thank you for coming onto the podcast. How are you today?
Oh, wonderful, and really appreciate the opportunity to talk about our organization, our wonderful event coming up, and to see your smiling face. It makes my day too.
Thank you so much, Rich. It's such a pleasure to meet you, to have you on the podcast. I am so honored, and I want to tell listeners a little bit about you before we get into the episode. Rich Kenney has held the position of second vice president for the World Acrobatic Society since 2019. In this capacity, he is the chair of the nominations committee and oversees the activities of the following committees: international relations, membership, marketing/public relations, long-range planning, and the Gallery of Legends. Rich was production editor and photographer for Gymnast magazine for 1973 and International Gymnast 1975 to 1979, working alongside the publication's founder, Glenn Sunby. We all know Glenn Sunby. As marketing and communications and sponsorship director for the United States Gymnastics Federation, now USA Gymnastics, Rich was intimately involved in rebuilding this organization after the 1980 Olympic boycott. He planned and implemented marketing, TV packaging, and corporate sponsorship programs funding the USGF and its teams during the 3 successive Olympic quadrennium. Rich reignited his lifelong fascination for flight by marketing and participating in air shows and youth education events focused on aviation and space exploration. As a co-founder of AeroEd Group San Diego, he received the 2018 award for outstanding contribution to aerospace education from the San Diego section of the American Institute of Aeronautics and Astronautics. Rich resides in San Diego with his wife, Michelle, and enjoys sharing his marketing knowledge and experience with the World Acrobatic Society to help further its mission and goals. To date, 328 individuals from around the world have been inducted into the World Acrobatic Society Hall of Fame. These outstanding individuals have been selected for their excellence in their specific disciplines, with many continuing to stay involved in a professional and exemplary manner. In addition, they have contributed to society and the growth of acrobatics on a national and worldwide basis. The World Acrobatic Society 2024 inductees include John Heiney, Dian Nissen, Eva Rucka, Michael Hixon, David Jacobs, Hardy Fink, the Flying Caballero family, David Black, and Vladimir Artmemov. Thank you again so much. This is just a phenomenal opportunity. Rich, I am so grateful to have you on. And as an inductee myself, by WAS, the World Acrobatic Society in 2011, along with my partner, Arthur Davis at the time, I've been wanting to have WAS on the podcast for quite some time. And then the lead up to the event, which is happening next week, seemed like the best opportunity, even though I know that you were all so busy in planning a really robust and rich weekend celebrating these magnificent disciplines and these magnificent legends. So thank you for taking the time.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you. It's a great opportunity. Uh, what you mentioned, that I used to be involved in basically managing editor for publications, magazines. At one time, when I worked for Glenn Sunby, he was the internet. His magazine was it's like a trade publication for acrobatics that went all over the world. And that's how we got to know what was going on. The news you got was probably a month or more late, but that's just the nature of the way communication was back then. Now, the format you're using right here is the new publishing. It's not paper and ink, it's electrons. It's getting out there instantaneously and sharing a human emotion as close as you can without actually being there. Someday, science fiction will come through and we'll be able to be holograms or something like that. But anyway, I appreciate what you're doing. And it is what kids use now. And this is the way we can reach out to them and the format they're familiar with. They don't take the time to read books anymore, let alone magazines. But this format works. And part of what I'm going to be doing is videotaping different sections of our upcoming Congress, because we need to create our own content. We have enough superstars every year that there's inspirational stories that we can get from every one of them. And maybe some of your advice on how to do that would be appreciated, because you're definitely
Thank you.
doing the right job. But our event is coming up very soon. It'll be September 6th to the 8th in Las Vegas at the Tuscany Hotel, where we've been for numerous years back to back. They treat us well because we respect the facility, and it's all been working out quite well, very comfortably. One of the things that's unique about us is we're a society. We kind of, I guess the analogy I would make is there's NASCAR and Indianapolis race cars with sponsors all over the place. Because I used to be in the sponsorship business, and of course you got to have signage and this and that and all the other stuff. We're more like the analogy would be the Masters. It's a golf tournament that is just very high key, no advertising, none of that, commercialism to speak of, but it is true believers, true participants, people that really love the game. So our collection are people that are imbued with their life story in the sport, the acrobatics, and all the different disciplines we have. So it's a unique society, and we welcome people. You don't have to be a world and Olympic champion to be part of it, but you can enjoy uh, the inspiration that's there in meeting these people. And I think that's part of what I think is important. Is just a little rub off. You begin to realize, hey, these are real people. I can be a real person someday too. So uh, being able to make that happen in real life, and I think is a very important thing to make that human connection. So that's what we're about. Of course, everybody in your world and our world are welcome to be there, to enjoy it, to participate in it. And one of the things that's unique about what we do is the creative aspect of it, the art aspect of it. You don't do just what other people did. You want to do more. You want to do better. You get reach a certain level and you go, maybe I can push it a little further. Maybe I can do a little more. And that is the human potential that needs to be nourished, not just with us, but technical people and people like myself that went from the sports world on to the business world and use that lesson you learn by being in these disciplines that we're in is that you don't give up. You get challenged and you meet the challenge and you keep meeting the challenge again and again and again to improve yourself, but also the art of doing more. So there's a deeper meaning than just an event and a dinner and an award. It's getting those people together and having gratitude for the ones that made your life what it is, and sharing that and hoping you can be, an inspiration to others. That that in the inspiration part is I think is a very key thing. Um, yeah, before I get too far off in my philosophy world, but it's I think that feeling, that importance is there. It's not just another event, not just another movie. It's a chance to be real people that have made a difference, and we recognize people and for what they do, what they've done, and the inspiration and contribution they've made to other people. That's all to the good, all to the good.
Oh, that's great. That's so amazing, Rich. And like you said, the vast, diverse backgrounds of those inducted into the
Mhm.
World Acrobatic Society. I mean, again, legends that inspired myself, Evgeny Marchenko, the Alexei brothers, Boris. I always just call him Boris because he's one of the head acrobatic coaches at Cirque du
Oh yeah,
Soleil for like the past 30, 40 years.
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, those
He's
are
one of
just a
us. Yeah,
few. Yeah,
yeah,
just
yeah,
a few of the
yeah,
names, of
yeah,
folks
yeah.
that have been inducted for their
Mhm.
various contributions to the acrobatic environment. And Rich, could you tell listeners the different disciplines that are inducted into WAS? I have them here as well myself, and the awards that you offer. But I would love to hear them from you to give listeners an idea of what backgrounds we all come from to become legends or to become inducted into the society.
Well, the original disciplines are pretty much what we're holding to now. Acrobatic gymnastics, the hand balancing and balancing cheerleading and so on, which was something Glenn Sunby was. and that was his background. And I'll keep
Yes.
referring back to him because he was an inspiration for me. He hired me to work on the magazines and so on. And I was a photographer before that, but I became a better one working with him. And he gave me
Mm,
a lot of responsibilities to do that. And photography is another art form. I could go on all day about that, but when you are what you are and you see it as a photographer, you feel like you're doing what they're doing. You feel it in that moment, and there's that miracle millisecond when there's a pose or a position or whatever that absolutely captures it. In a video, it just goes flying by, but when you can capture a still image that captures the beauty, the magnificence, the extraordinary positioning, what have you, that that's an art form. And part of it that is
absolutely.
being able to show that. Now that I'm on that track, I'll show you one person that is going to be getting the Golden Achievement Award. His name is
Mm,
Dave Black. It's his latest book of I believe four of them,
mm.
and he was a gymnast, as were her brothers. And I saw his photography and I saw his artwork and his discipline, his precision has made him one of the best sports photographers on the planet. He went to 12 consecutive Olympics, summer, winter, doing
Wow.
working for sports, doing stuff for Sports Illustrated, Newsweek magazine, other publications, the U.S. Olympic Committee, and so on. So he was always in demand. And
Mm.
in his last several years, he's what's known as a Nikon ambassador. He fills
Oh,
lecture halls with people listening to him and how he does this magnificent photography. Unbelievable. When you come there, you're going to see some of that work. But again, that was an athlete, a gymnast. But like I say, other ones of our type, if that's what you want to call it, are not satisfied with right now. We want to do better. We want to do better. We want to do better. And then he kept challenging himself, became better and better and better at it. And he's like, just done a tremendous job of it. And so that's an example of what I was saying. Is all of us take challenges and we take them on and we improve upon them. We become artists going beyond what's the status quo. And we need people that do that on all walks of life. So if we can inspire people to have that attitude, I think it'll make a difference. It'll make a difference.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. I mean, that's what inspired me. I came from my acrobatic gymnastics career, and then I segued into the circus arts and the circus industry. And I encourage folks with my background or with my, with my pedigree to pursue the arts and use that gymnastics talent. I mean, either you're going to go into NCAA or you can also too go into the
Right.
circus arts. Maybe you're not from a generational circus family. So your lead in into the arts world is a bit different, coming from the competitive world like you and I did, from your world of artistic gymnastics, and for me, acrobatic gymnastics. And so for me, it was a really amazing evolution to come from that world and then come into this entirely other universe of sport, and then be able to take my talent and my skill and my technique and really refine it, and kind of turn it into something completely beyond what I ever imagined for myself. Rich, can you let listeners know, how long has the World Acrobatic Society been around, and how has it changed maybe from its original format into what it is now? Has it stayed mostly the same in how it introduces different levels of sports? Action sports are in there, cheerleading is in
Mm-hmm.
there. I mean, it's a really diverse group of disciplines that come to be inducted into the World Acrobatic Society and get that recognition. And so, yes, how did it start? And what is the history of the World Acrobatic Society?
Well, it started, and I'll bring the name up again. Glenn Sunby was one of the founders, and
Yes,
there was
we
a
love
group of
Glenn.
them that included also George Nissen, who created the trampoline, and there were a couple of
Of all
gymnastic
things.
coaches that got together to celebrate George Nissen's. I think it was his 80th birthday back in '96. I think it was, and they decided, well, let's let's create a network where we can communicate and do these different things. And again, that probably Glenn Sunby was like, he was would publish anything about it. So he was the internet at the time. And that was a powerful thing. And he was always there making those types of things happen. And having been an acrobat himself, he had a trio. He used to do, he was in your business for years, and he made a small fortune, and bought real estate and so on. And then he converted that fortune into running the magazine. I came in with him with a bit of a business background, and it wasn't the best of businesses, but he loved it, and he was willing to sacrifice for it. And I think, again, the
Mm.
gratitude we should all have for pioneers like him to make those things happen. And that, having that communications vehicle really made a difference. But still, that was paper and ink and the mailing and all those expenses that were involved. Now we can do this stuff for free, so we should be doing a lot more. And I'm hoping we can inspire that with this as an example. It's really well done. Um, I would say, well, we do artistic gymnastics, as you know, gymnastics, and acrobatics. It's you can probably describe more of the different variations of that than I can. Diving, of course, which is spectacular. I'm just enthralled with diving. I can't believe what they do. And action sports, we called it extreme sports at one time. Now we've evolved it into action sports. So the extreme thing is we're not promoting daredevils. We are promoting the actions that they do. So it's the freestyle skiing, aerobatic flying, skateboarding, which I might mention. We created a special award for the Blue Angels. They on their 75th anniversary. Um, I saw that as an opportunity to reach out to them. I've been in love with aviation. My dad took me to air shows when I was a little kid, and I've seen the Blue Angels probably dozens of times. And I when I looked at their website and I looked at their mission, creating a culture of excellence by their motive, by what they do, and that's what we are. We are seeking excellence in what we do. We're seeking that. We sometimes we hit perfection on the way, which is not a bad thing, but trying to be as excellent as we can be is the kind of a motivation you want. Like I say, with Dave, he achieved very well. But he and his brothers each were on a national championship college team. Not all the same college, but each was on a national championship team. So each one of them had been successful partly because they were on teams. They learned the whole interaction with other people and making good things happen. So uh, the Blue Angels are that team, and we had the president of the World Acrobat of the Blue Angels Association of all the retired folks that have been Blue Angels for 75 years. We gave that award to all of them, just as a recognition of that inspiring that culture of excellence for that much time. And part of the thing that we gave them well, I'll show you. This is the basics of the foundation of the award we're giving to each of our folks this year, and we have for the last couple of years. It's a jet engine turbine blade, which to me, having been a sculpture, it was one of my majors, is the precision of it and understanding how precise this is. That's what we try to achieve is precision and the balance. If a jet engine, if this ring, there's probably a dozen rings, about 12 to 24 of these each. If they're not all perfectly balanced, that engine's going to wobble. It's going to make your airplane wobble. So that's a very demanding example to me of who we are, precision. And one of the things I saw when I was working on the prototypes, I look, wait a minute, I can see myself in that. So when you receive, let me see if I get another one of these here. When you receive one of these, you'll be able to see yourself in it. We want them
Mm.
to realize this is them. This is our expression of gratitude, reward, if you will, of them. and unique and
Mm.
different. I designed this, and we're the only people that get this. You can't go to a trophy shop and get this. Nobody can get this. We're the only ones that are giving this out. And so that's part of the uniqueness is this is the only way you're going to get this. If you're a football player, top, Tom Brady, forget it. You're never going to get one of these. This, this, this goes to our special people. That's it. That's it.
Sorry,
And, and,
Tom.
and you get one of these too. So,
And you get
which
a
is,
medal. You get
and you get a
a
medal. You get to wear
magnificent
that
medal.
around. You get a
We all
magnificent
love it.
medal
We all
too.
love a medal.
Yeah, you put them on the wall with all the rest of yours, right? But the trophy, you're only going to get one of those. Uh, so, uh, the other things, the other one is the lifetime achievement award. And that's for folks that have devoted their life to their sport. Now they may have been, champion themselves, but they went back into it. They kept giving to it. They kept a part of it. They did their whole life, devoted their life to it, and we want to recognize that. And that's part of, in a way, the gratitude to me is an important thing to have. And you learn that sometimes when you're older, and it's something that we express. Everybody that comes to this event has that sense of gratitude for the people that are there, their own coaches, everybody, their parents, everybody that's contributed to their success. There's gratitude for that, and that's a very important human emotion that I think the world needs more of, because there's been a lot of people that have made us who we are, and a lot of things what they are.
Yes, I mean, I was telling you prior to the podcast, Rich, that we just were in Minneapolis for Olympic trials, honoring my acrobatic gymnastics coach Yuri Vorobiev, and he was inducted into the USA Gymnastics Hall of Fame, and we were just so grateful. I can't tell you how incredibly grateful I am for him and what he gave to me. He gave me my whole life. He
Yeah,
gave me this incredible skill, this incredible discipline that has shaped my entire life. And gave me all of these opportunities. I tell everyone, none of these opportunities would have been possible without coaches taking on my life and pouring their hearts and their souls into me,
absolutely.
because it's really that level of dedication that it takes to create such excellence, on that side of it. So his athletes came from all over to honor him. And maybe in the future, he'll be inducted into the World Acrobatic Society. We always make fun of him because, we were inducted into USAG Hall of Fame before he was. We were
Uh-huh.
inducted into WAS before he was. And then, afterwards, he's like, oh, maybe I'll be like you guys one day. We're
Yeah,
like, yes, Yuri. If you're
yeah.
like,
Maybe
maybe.
when you grow up, maybe someday you'll
Yes.
get some. When you
Yes.
grow up.
Yes. You've only been coaching for 40 years and numerous champions, decades and decades and decades. But, maybe if you do a little more
Yeah,
for the industry, for the business. But that sense of gratitude, you can just feel that. And I definitely felt that for myself and for my own career. And then just immense gratitude, just experiencing the different and varying careers from all the other inductees and those that are receiving those Lifetime Achievement Awards. And then understanding the history, understanding where you came
sure.
from.
Right,
I think
right.
that is so important. You see so many things nowadays, Rich, especially within acrobatics and things that are becoming very commercial. And folks forget this immense and enormous talent that came before them and that influenced and shaped their entire career that they're having now. I mean, nothing that I do, I know, doesn't come from those that shaped this environment before me. And knowing those careers and honoring them and the work that they gave and the life that they gave. So for me, it's really important. I hope that through a fraction of this podcast, I'm also able to give back. I mean, World Acrobatic Society has been doing this for a very long time and honoring our environment. And I just want more and more folks to know, even on a mainstream level, I would say about WAS, because
Mhm.
some of our communities can be very niche. I mean, we're all from very niche environments, and we all know how to couple. And sometimes I think people forget, or the wider public doesn't know a lot about our societies or our communities or our our industries in the way that I think that they should, because I think that it's riveting, and it's history, and it's informative, and it's educational, and then it can inform others that are wanting to pursue the same thing, so that maybe they too one day, maybe not even if they receive an award, but they can participate with WAS and get involved, and help to continue to build up WAS and help the World Acrobatic Society to continue to expand. You said that there are so many things that the World Acrobatic Society wants to do. And I'm looking forward to your podcasting effort, because you have a great YouTube channel. Listeners listening in, World Acrobatic Society has a fantastic YouTube channel where you can see, I think for the past 16 years, almost every single inductee. And there's a nice little video of every single inductee. You can see a bit of their work, and see of what they look like, and see what their disciplines were. And these inductees are starting from very far back. I mean, some of them competed again in the 70s, in the 70s and then beyond. So it's just such a rich history of what we are all a part of. And I also wanted to say too, the original ceremony that was where my partner Arthur Davis and I were inducted, I actually wasn't even able to go. My mother went on my behalf because I was on a circus tour. And so
Oh,
she came and claimed my award. And she wanted me to say this during the podcast, because I was telling her that I was going to be interviewing you, Rich. And that was just one of the highlights for my family. They were so honored. And I was overseas at the time performing. And my mother in her speech said, I think I'm the rightful acceptance. I'm the right person to accept this award because I funded it. She said something along those lines. And she just tickled the entire audience. Everybody just laughed so much, because if you're a gymnastics parent or an acrobatic parent, or an extreme discipline or an action sports parent, you know what it's like to just give a village to a child, to get them through a career like this, to have them become inducted. And my parents just could have never imagined that their little girl that they put into acrobatic gymnastics in Northern California at the time, where it wasn't so mainstream or popular, that she would go on to be inducted into the World Acrobatics Hall of Fame. So my mother wanted me to share that with you, Rich. She was just so delighted that
wow.
I would be doing the podcast with the society today.
Well, that's wonderful. That's absolutely wonderful. I can see where your vivacious bubbliness probably comes from your mom. I can see
Yes,
that.
I am
The
my mother's
energy is
daughter. We are the same. If anyone thinks that I'm very smiley and I'm very outgoing, just meet my mother. Like, she is
see
even
the
more so.
influence of others. So we should have parent medals too. Awards for our parents. That's part. I'll put that on the checklist. Something for the folks.
Yes. Yes, definitely something for the folks. She was just so grateful, and it comes back to the gratitude that you're speaking about, Rich. And we're coming down to the last few minutes of the podcast, Rich. I want to thank you again so much for coming on to discuss the amazing and beautiful efforts of the World Acrobatic Society, and in terms of how you give back, how you inform, and how you want to inform future generations. We were speaking about that prior to the podcast. And so I think to lead us out of the podcast, I would love for you to speak on a little bit of how the World Acrobatic Society intends to influence generations to come, especially because we see that these environments have shifted and they've evolved, and they're shifting and they're changing. And folks that have maybe children now, or they have athletes now, that they want them to become legendary. They want them to be able to take their rightful place, and receive an award for excellence. And so, what in your eyes does it take to do that, to encourage the youth out there that maybe are competitive, or that are maybe in the circus arts right now, or in the performing arts, or are in one of the niche disciplines that is honored already by the World Acrobatic Society?
Well, part of it is a process of having a vision where we want to be, not just a banquet to banquet to banquet every, just same thing year after year, is to look years out. Uh, part, when I did magazines, I had to be able to produce an editorial schedule um, at the beginning of the year or sooner, to be able to say, okay, this is the month you can advertise with other summer camps, or this is when this is happening. So being able to lay it out, identify all the major events that happen for all the different disciplines, be able to put them on a calendar. So hey, this is happening in my neighborhood. Why don't I go see this acrobatic event? Why don't I go see this diving event? So if they know it's there, then potentially we could be there to welcome people, to see them, to have our own little receptions, different things that I remember doing as, as a sponsor director for the Gymnastics Federations, being able to do for the sponsors. Like I remember we had Texaco as a sponsor of the World Championships, and we had a reception for our past world champions and championships teams. And we, had their big shots that wrote the big checks for that, and they were an Olympic sponsor at the same time. And they were so impressed by our people because our kids, because they go all over the world representing our country, and we media train them and so on. But they were absolute gentlemen, absolute ladies, dressed beautifully. Their attitude, their discussions, their ability to talk to them, these executives were ready to hire any one of them. They were so impressed. So getting our people in front of other people is part of it, and so they can each tell their own story, and also inspire other kids to be in front of them, to give a lecture, give a talk, doing a guest appearance. There's a number of things that are very possible to do. It's a matter of organizing that, and part of to get that done. Again, to me, the term teamwork comes in. We need people like you that can make suggestions how to do it. You're in this broadcasting world. I'm not there yet. I'm looking at it and I go, oh wow, this is publishing in the real world today. This is where I should be. We should be doing this, and because the cost is manageable, and there are enough people that are out there, and we're looking for people like you for each of our disciplines. That would be wonderful if we could have a podcast maestro for each of our disciplines, and make those types of things happen. It's in the future, but if we need to have that goal to me to go beyond where we are. We're awarding people, but we want to do uh, part of if one of the other things I had to do is work on the Constitution and bylaws and so on. And we're a non for profit, and part of that is what why we're the principle of that is you're not taxed because you're doing something the government isn't doing. We're doing something education wise that is not being provided by the government. So we're not going to charge you to do what's good for society that you're doing. So in principle, what can we do for our society, for our future civilization here and everywhere in the world that we can do that we won't charge the government for? They won't take our money because they know what we're doing is important. The more important we can be, I would guess the more funding we could attract if we're doing the outreach uh, to help society in the future. And I think we're on the right road for that. But we need more team players that want to help make that happen. We are where we are now, like we've talked. But once you get here, you want to do more. We want people to get involved that want to do more. They love their sport. Okay, how do we spread it? How do we get more people? How do like I think we mentioned kids today, and you can't blame them. They're at a loss. This pandemic thing, the poor education they're getting, the cultural things that are pulling at them is crazy. We want to give them something to look forward to, a reason to get up every day in the morning, get out there and conquer their world. And that's an attitude that works with you when you're involved as a young athlete, a circus performer, but that attitude carries over into your real life. If you're in business or if you're in politics or if you're trying to, or non for profit, doing whatever it is, you're going to want to do better and reach that excellence. And that's an attitude that you need to have. Is try to always do more and do better, and for not just for yourself, but for other people as well. So there's a lot more behind it than medals and trophies. But the thing is getting people involved to do their best and help others. That's part of what's behind it. Off,
Thank you so much, Rich.
they can go to worldacro.com is the website. They get all kinds of details and be able to access that wonderful video library. And the videotapes are a real challenge to do. And we have a
Mm.
wonderful lady, Nell Filliger, that does that every year. She's a tremendous contributor. And she was one of the founding members of the World Acrobatic Society. So at some point, she's another person to talk to. I'm immensely, and we should all be, to her for her contribution of all those videos all for many years. And I put together magazines, but I cannot imagine putting together videos like that. I had to submit so much stuff for her to compress my 60 years into 6 minutes is quite a challenge, but she did a pretty good job of it. So she's doing that with everybody. But that's another area where we could use help. If anybody's that wants to be a podcaster or a videographer and so on, or can capture the art, like I said, a photographer can capture that magic moment. Well, every performance out there has magic moments. Let's capture those and share those. Uh, there's a way to do it, just like you're doing right now. Let's make those things happen. So, getting people's imaginations is part of it. Getting them inspired is another part of it, and we want to create opportunities for that creativity to happen and that outreach potential. And thank
That's
you,
wonderful.
thank you for what you do and your enthusiasm. And you are going to be my consultant for making these things happen.
I'm honored, Reg. I'm honored to give you any kind of information or feedback that I possibly can. I am just really honored that you came onto the podcast, and we get to represent the World Acrobatic Society, and I'm available and open to be a part of the evolution of the World Acrobatic Society in any way that I can. And listeners out there, please contact WAS, the World Acrobatic Society. You can also meet them next weekend, September 6th through the 8th, and you can meet them in person. You can go to one of the congresses. You can go to the awards banquet. You can meet some legends, and you can also too just speak about the things that you have to offer. It's definitely a village, a collaborative effort, and I can see the world of the World Acrobatic Society just continuing to expand and to blossom. And I hope that it's around and it continues to be around for generations to come, because it's so important, the history of what we all do, so that we can have gratitude for who came before us, and then maybe dream a little dream, and maybe you too will end up in the World Acrobatic Society for your beautiful contribution to the acrobatics world and to the acrobatics community. So to lead us out, the Circuspreneur podcast is also available on stagelink.com, stagelync.com, the groundbreaking new platform for live performing arts that provides unmatched access and connection to this vibrant world of shows and entertainment. If you are a professional in the performing arts, visit stagelink.com/pro. STAGELYNCPRO offers industry professionals higher visibility, networking opportunities, and tools to support and enhance their careers. Until next time, everyone, I'm your host, Shenea Stiletto. This is the Circuspreneur podcast. Please stay safe, stay healthy, and look up the World Acrobatics Society. And thank you again to Rich Kenney, legend.
Thank you. WorldAcro.com.